This week on the latest episode of The Big Show, the summer movie season is right around the corner, and this week we'll preview some of the most anticipated films that hopefully will bring moviegoers back to the theaters. From the latest superhero movies, both from the MCU and the DCEU, to the latest adventures of Ethan Hunt, Dom Torretto, Indiana Jones, and even Barbie, there's something for everyone this summer. Co-host Charles Kirkland Jr. will give you an insightful cinematic primer. Plus, Jonathan Majors is back in the news as more companies are distancing themselves from him. Wake Up with WURD host Solomon Jones will join us to share his perspective. Also, Snowfall aired their final episode last night, and the show many are comparing to The Wire concluded with the last ride of Damson Idris's drug kingpin Franklin Saint. We'll discuss his legacy and his devastating conclusion. And there are a couple of movies, streaming shows to review, including Guy Ritchie's The Covenant and The Diplomat on Netflix. We'll have all that and more on episode 535, Keeping It Real with Film Gordon. Let's go. And welcome to the latest episode of Keeping It Real with Film Gordon. I am Tim Gordon. I am joined by my man, 50 Grand, cross behind him where he's playing with his hands. It is Charles Kirkland Jr. What's going on, Charles?
What's happening, Tim? I am so glad to be here. And thank you for inviting me in again. Even though I'm the co-host, it's my show.
My point exactly. I love how you said that. Like, I'm inviting you in. You're a part of every show. That would be like me saying, thank you for having me back as the host of this show again. For the 535th time.
Well, last week you didn't invite me into the show, so I feel special now. That you recognize me.
All right, man. We have a big show coming up this week. The summer movie season starts in about a week and a half. Instead of waiting until next week when we're right up against it, I decided we would do our summer movie preview this week. So that's coming up. We're going to have cover all the films of May, June, July, and August. So I want to make sure you guys are on point with that. Also, I'm bringing on this brother in a couple of minutes, man. I've done his show, I don't know how many years, but for years. And he has never done this show. So he had me on this morning on this real depressing topic, which we'll pick back up on our show. So Solomon Jones from Philadelphia's, Wake Up with WURD. Oh, there he is right there. What's going on, man? But we'll get to Solomon in a second. And also, I want to review this week two new projects. Both Charles and I were out in the streets. Actually, it seems like all week, man, going to these receptions and films. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. We'll talk about that later on in the show, as well as Netflix new kind of espionage series, The Diplomat. So we'll talk about that. And then, Charles, I guess we can get to your show next week when it opens. What is that thing called again? Citadel?
Citadel is correct, yes.
All right, cool. All right, so we got all that coming up. But without any further ado, man, this brother right here, I'm just gonna introduce him first because he does this to me on his show every time I'm on. This brother is an award-winning columnist for the Philadelphia Daily News and Philadelphia Inquirer, where he writes regularly about race and class. He's an Essence best-selling author of 8 novels, 2 short stories, and he's a blogger for NPR affiliate WHYY and the host of Wake Up with WURD in Philadelphia, Solomon Jones. It feels good to say this. Welcome to the big show. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm good. How are you, Tim? Good to see you, brother.
Sir, I am fantastic, man. I was just laughing before. I think you were on hold when I was like, I don't know how many years I've been on Solomon's show, man.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I'm gonna have to get you coming back over here because the folks here need to see you too, man. So Solomon, bro, welcome. I
Thank
wanted
you.
you to come back
How you
on.
doing, Solomon? I'm Charles.
Hey,
It's the
Charles.
first time meeting you.
How you doing, brother?
I'm glad to see you here on our show.
Yes, sir. Good to be here.
All right.
You know, it's so funny, Solomon. Our producer over here, Shane Lewis, just put his head in his hands like, yeah, that's Charles, man. I'm sorry.
Charles, don't ignore me.
Charles
Wait a
is
minute.
something else, man. You'll get used to him,
I
man.
am a Southern gentleman. I can't just start talking to somebody. I got to say hello. How you doing?
Nothing
So I
wrong
got
with
to
it.
do that first.
Love
All
it.
right, man. Yeah, no problem, man. So Solomon, this morning when you had me on the show, man, we were talking about Jonathan Majors, man.
Yeah.
And my significant other at home, you know, I was telling her about what we did this morning, and she was like, well, why do you keep focusing on Jonathan Majors? So I kept going back and forth, and she kept going, yeah, I know that, but why? So at the end, I went, you know, he's black. And she was like, okay, pretty good. So
there it is.
So, bro, here it is, man. Let me just give you this information, and some of this I did not have this morning, man. So apparently, his attorney, I think a young lady by the name of Priya Chaudhary, has said that he's innocent and he hasn't abused anyone. He has a May 8th court trial where she says we have provided irrefutable evidence to the district attorney that the charges are false, and we are confident that he will be fully exonerated. Now, as I was preparing to talk to you about this, I got one of my good friends is a 2-time Oscar winner, and he hit me up and he said, hey, man, is this brother's career over? I was like, man, let's just let it play out, man. He said, but, you know, when they start calling you a leper and a pariah in Hollywood, he said, it's hard to come back from that, no matter what the court says. So, you know, as a journalist, Solomon, and understanding race and understanding how everything works, man, you heard me say on your show that I think it's a very difficult conversation to have because we live in times right now where instead of it being innocent until proven guilty, it has now become guilty, and then you got to prove your own innocence.
That's right.
Now, you heard me tell you it was difficult for me. How difficult for you is it to have this conversation as it relates to what his prospects are down the line, and how do you really feel about this situation without pissing off, you know, Black Twitter or social media or anybody else about this?
Well, what I can say is this, that I am very sensitive to how especially younger sisters feel about this kind of thing, because, you know, they'll tell you in a minute, believe the victim. And that's fine. But for me, you have to prove that you are a victim, because the reality is that you can say anything, man. And, you know, we are at a point now where it will be believed, and your career, your life, your future prospects are ruined. And even after you prove that you are not guilty of what you've been accused of, like Nate Parker, right? Who was, you know, he had been to trial and been acquitted. They brought it back out later that said that he had been to trial and had been acquitted. And as far as we are concerned now, he was guilty. And so what can you do with that once that accusation is made? Now, on the one hand, that is the reality, and that's just the truth. And, you know, hopefully people don't get angry at the truth. But the other thing is that, you know, with this brother, you've got other people now saying that he was abusive. And one of the things that came out early on when the first accusation was made was somebody who said that I'm surprised that people are just learning about Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors has been abusive, and he's been this person, you know, for years, and everybody in New York and on Broadway knows it. And that was kind of swept under the rug. But when other people came out, that came back to my mind. And what I'm hoping is that it's not true. But I'm also feeling that if it is, then, you know, he's got to suffer the consequence.
Well, like I told you this morning, man, I think, and Charles remembers this, like several weeks ago, we did a show where we talked about a rush to judgment. And I didn't even bring Nate Parker's name into it because I wanted to frame it along the lines of someone who's sort of in his universe right now when we talk about Ezra Miller, right?
Yeah.
And I went through a litany here on the air of the 13 charges, including 12 from last year. So grooming, sexual assault, all sorts of stuff. And his studio, you know, over at Warner Brothers, they're proud. They're like, yo, man, I understand he might not be a really good guy, but we're really excited about this movie. And we're really excited about working with Ezra Miller. Marvel, on the other hand, which drives me absolutely batty, is I think he's got 8 charges inside of this one case, right? And everybody is running. We don't want to have anything to do with him. We dropping him. We're pulling this spot. We're doing this. I'm like, dude, like, give me some. I mean, you heard me talk about this on your show.
Yeah.
Solomon, give me some perspective, man, when you're looking at 2 dudes nearly the same age. I think Ezra Miller might be 30, 31. Jonathan Majors is 33. They're both superheroes. We got the Flash over here. We got Kang over here. You know, they're essentially doing or performing a similar thing right now, except one has charges that are super long versus one that just has one allegation that has 8 charges. Does it make a difference, or am I reaching with this, Solomon?
No, I don't think you're reaching at all. I think that race is at the center of it. I think that the way that America responds to different incidents depends on race. Ralph Yarl, the young man who was shot when he knocked on the wrong door. Initially, they arrested the person who shot him, and then they let him go. Now, he lived, but he shot him in the head and then shot him again. When you do that, you're trying to kill somebody, right? That's attempted murder.
Right.
You know, when that happened to a young white woman who unfortunately died when she pulled into the wrong driveway, you know, there was no equivocation. There was no hesitation. There was none of that. It was arrest them and, you know, we move forward from here. And so we see that over and over and over again here in Philadelphia. When young Black men are shot, we got a 6% clearance rate, man. That means you have a 94% chance of just walking away, never being charged if you shoot a young Black man in Philadelphia, right? For a young white man the same age, you know, they have a clearance rate that's 3 times as high. Now, that's still bad.
Right.
But, you know, the reality is that the response is different across the board to everything. From this with this young man, with Jonathan Majors, to murders, to shootings, to education, everything, man, in America really is driven by and affected by race. We have to really accept that and understand that so that we can then deal with that.
Brother, hey, man, I don't think it's too much more that we can say about that, but I guess I will end with this, Solomon. What do you think? I mean, you've heard me say that I want to see it play out. I think the biggest difference, I would say, and I'm saying this as a guy who kind of is my opinion, right? But my opinion means a little something when it comes to this film thing, because this is what we do, right?
Yeah.
I love Nate, right? And I've known and interviewed Nate Parker several times. We've hung out. Good dude, right? I've never met Jonathan Majors, but Jonathan Majors, we talked about it on this show, Charles and I, about his ascent, right? Like his rapid ascent. This guy went from like nobody knowing who he was in 2017 to being in The Last Black Man in San Francisco, and his career just meteorically rise, right? Everybody wants to work with Jonathan Majors. We go to Sundance, we watch Magazine Dreams. I don't even know what the studio is going to do with that now, since it's supposed to be a December 8th release. So depending on how a lot of this stuff plays out, Solomon, we don't know what happens with that film's prospects. But having said all that, here's a man who was literally like the next, you know, when they talk about being up next, he's up next. He was going to be like the next superstar. And all these stories and all these things we hear about people talking about, as you said earlier, you know, well, we knew he was abusive. Charles and I, we didn't hear any of this stuff, man, when The Harder They Fall was coming out and all these movies were coming out. Talk about what you think kind of motivates that, you know, all of these people coming forward. And then what do you see happening for Jonathan Majors over, say, the next, I don't know, 6 or 7 months going to the end of this year?
Yeah, I think that it's going to be difficult for Jonathan Majors. I think that the only thing that America loves more than seeing somebody rise is seeing them fall. And so, you know, we are watching a frenzy around Jonathan Majors in terms of the attack on him and the activity around him. Now, you know, there's nothing worse now that you could be in the age of social media than someone who has assaulted or sexually assaulted a woman. And, you know, that's as it should be. But the reality is there is no real proof that we have seen. And so, you know, we just have to go by the rumors, the innuendo, the accusations, the behind the scene unsourced materials. As a journalist, that drives me crazy because now you're printing stuff, you don't have named sources, and so people could say anything. We don't know who's saying it. We don't know what their motivation is. We don't know if it's true. We don't know their character because we don't know their name. And so the next 6-7 months for Jonathan Majors is going to be key. It's going to be scary, but I have seen too many Black men fall in these last few years in the age of social media, you know, just due to an accusation.
Brother,
if I may chime in real quickly, I
yes.
think May 8th, is that supposed to be this court date is one of the dates when he's supposed to appear. It's going to be a real big linchpin in what's going to happen in the future. He's already been turned down by the Met Gala, told not to come.
Right.
The U.S. Army dropped his and so, I mean, hopefully Disney is the one place that, I mean, because they have a lot invested in Jonathan Majors as far as the future. So they're holding their action until they see what happens in court. So if everything works out in court in his favor, he may be able to survive this. I think he just got to keep his head down and just get into the work, and hopefully, you know, everything will work out for him. But it's the court date that is the most important thing right now for him.
All right. Well, you know, Solomon, man, like I said, I'm teasing you. You literally know this is the first time we've ever looked each other in the face doing any of this stuff. So it is good to see you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. This won't be your last invitation, man, because, you know, I love what you stand for. I love your presentation. And I think you are a vital voice, man, that our audience needs to hear more from. And since we now live in a world where everything is, you know, we can log in and we can listen. Tell people, man, where they can catch you every morning, Solomon.
Yeah, absolutely. They can catch me on WURD radio, which is 900 AM, 96.1 FM in Philadelphia. You can download the WURD app on your phone, listen in clear digital sound. You can also catch me on Classics 107.9 here in Philadelphia. 3 days a week for commentary. Also on Saturday, you can download the Classics app as well.
One of the few treasures in the city of brotherly love that I actually like as a New York Giants fan, man. One of the few things that I like in Philadelphia.
Well, let's healing for that, brother. We can pray that out of you. Me and Charles, we pray it out of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've had many discussions about the New York Giants.
Brother, look, thank you, though, Solomon, man. I will definitely be in touch, man. I appreciate you, man, and hope to talk to you soon, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tim.
All right, man. You take care.
Take care, Charles. All right.
All right, Solomon.
All right. And of course, that is Solomon Jones, man, host of Wake Up with Word. You know, every morning in Philadelphia, man. Good brother, man. Good brother, man. So there you go, Charles.
Well, there you have it. Like I said, this is just like the most craziest stuff that happens to us. I don't know. You know, it's just because he's Black, I believe. I hate to say it, but I think that's the case.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much, man. Well, we will keep an eye on what's going on with Jonathan Majors, and I think to your point, we got a huge court date coming up on May 8th, so I'm sure that you know, this will pick back up depending on what the verdict is on that first date. So. All right, brother, it's time for us to pivot, man, and it's now
Let me ask you a question before you go too far.
Uh-oh. There you go again. Just messing up the show flow, man. And whenever you let me do this on the air because I just need you to know how we're gonna do this. When you see me pivoting, we are closing the door on one thing and we are moving on to the next. Go ahead, Charles.
I don't want you to go too far. Because I don't get an opportunity to ask questions as much as I would like on the show. And so I just need to know, because because you are doing a special coming attractions event for us coming up soon, have you had an opportunity to see the White Men Can't Jump trailer that just dropped?
I did not see that, and I'm glad you brought that up because when is that coming up? Is that next Saturday?
That is next Saturday.
That's close. Okay, I know. I'm glad you brought that up because I ran into the person that is hosting that event, and he wanted me to organize the list of films, and I told him I would have it done, and I have not done it yet. So thank you for reminding me that I need to take care of that as soon as possible. But yes, we got time to talk about that and promote that because that's next Saturday.
I was just going to say, because Lance Reddick is in the film, and they had a clip of him in the trailer, and it just was kind of, I'm bittersweet about there being a White Men Can't Jump redo, but just to see him in that film was also kind of sad to see our brother who just recently passed in that trailer. So I'm just saying.
All right, well, I will have to definitely check that out. I have not seen it. When did that trailer drop? Did it drop this week?
It dropped today.
Okay, yeah, so I haven't seen that yet. I'm usually on it, but I haven't checked trailers today because I was doing so many other things.
All right. We used to have a guy come in here to share news and stuff, so I like, at some time I like to give us some news for the show. Right. Go ahead.
I appreciate that, man. Even Shane, I love Shane, man. I wish you could see Shane, audience. Like, he's like, damn, Charles. Damn, Charles. Wow. All right, so let us now get to our summer movie preview. And if you didn't watch last week's show online, you can start seeing now that we're adding more effects and elements to the show. So here, Shane, would be a place where we could drop some music like da-da-da-da, something. I don't know, but we'll figure that out. So up first, man, Charles, and I'm going through these chronologically, and I'm just going to kind of go through some. So if I land on one, Charles, that's a movie that you think we should be talking about, please chime in. You know how to do that part, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So up first, man, is the first big blockbuster of the season. And of course, that's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which opens in theaters on May 5th. This is the end of an era. James Gunn, who's directed all three of these films, has left Marvel, is now over at Warner Brothers as the co-head of their DCEU, DC's Entertainment Universe.
Okay, I'm going to jump in with you. I'm going to jump in on
jump in, bro.
It's no longer the DCEU. It's just DCU.
Oh, so James Gunn came in and took the E off. Cool.
That's correct.
Got it. So the DCU, this is the final film, man. End of a trilogy. Closed the door, presumably, on James Gunn's career at Marvel. Charles, I mean, there's not a lot for us to say about this movie. Everybody knows it's dropping in a week and a half. Everybody knows that it's going to open #1. It's going to be huge. The only thing we don't know until we screen the film, I think it's sometime the end of next week, is whether the film is good or not. But I will assume, since I've liked all of the other films that James Gunn has done in this series, that I expect this one to not just be good, but very emotional as they close the door on these characters that we've been seeing. I think the first Guardians came out in 2014. Am I correct?
I'm not sure. I'll be honest.
Somewhere around there. So, Charles, you got any comment on Guardians of the Galaxy?
Well, like you said, this is probably the most idiot-proof thing we can do is say this is going to be a blockbuster. Because everybody in the world wants to see James Gunn closing out this chapter, and it's going to be on Cinco de Mayo, so we can have a party and watch the film and say goodbye to all these wonderful characters.
All right, Charles. Now I'm gonna do something a little different, man, because I have a list here of all of the films that I thought I wanted to talk about, but I don't want to spend a lot of time trying to educate people on movies that I don't really think are gonna do anything, man. I'm just being real, man. So we could put a list of these films up, but the next film I want to talk about, Charles, opens on May 12th, and of course Jennifer Lopez is back. This is a year after she's been doing all of these rom-coms, Shotgun Wedding, Marry Me. And now she's playing The Mother, right? Now, this one is a straight-to-streaming action flick about an assassin who targets her newborn in an attempt to protect her, only to have that estranged daughter targeted and kidnapped years later. This movie, Charles, takes place in the sprawling Alaska wilderness, and they're promoting it as Kill Bill meets The Last of Us reunion revenge epic. Wow. Wow. Yeah, even Shane like it. Yeah. Kill Bill meets Last of Us reunion revenge epic.
Yeah.
Comments? You have none on that one?
I will say this: it's not coming to theaters. It's going to be on Netflix. So, what do you think?
Well, I mean, Netflix has produced some stuff, man, that really works well. And you're talking about Jennifer Lopez, man. So, you know, not to say that it's going to be Mission Impossible, which we'll talk about a little later on, but, you know, you can never discount J-Lo, and she's going back. This is after her being in some of these kind of more physical roles like The Cell, Anaconda, Out of Sight. So this is a return to her away from these rom-com films she loves to do, to a more physical style. So I'd be willing to check it out. I
mean, even her last film, Shotgun Wedding, she was a little physical in. So, you know, I'm not opposed to it. I'll watch it, of course. But
all right.
All I'll say is it's going to be on TV, not on the big screen. So
it's on a streaming platform, man. Don't make it sound like it's on ABC on Sunday night or something. You find it's on TV. Try to be dismissive. Hey, Netflix, that was Charles Kirkland. He being dismissive of y'all. All right, Charles, you talking about idiot proof. Here's the next one, man. Fast 10. I mean, really, do we have to? I mean, no disrespect to the Fast and Furious franchise, but after Fast and Furious 5 or whatever it was called, Furious 5, these movies to me have just become so outlandish. Like, I just go in there and we know it's going to be ridiculous stunts. We know it's all about family, and we know some villain from a past film will tie into this film, and then they'll spring and introduce a new villain. There'll be ridiculous car stunts. Am I wrong, Charles? Is there anything else I'm leaving out in the Fast and Furious universe?
As usual, Tim Gordon, you are quite right. We all know where this is going. We had cars in space in the last episode. I mean, so where can we go? What can they do? I don't know. I know Louis Leterrier is coming in to direct instead of James Wan, wasn't it? Yeah,
no,
Justin Lin.
It was Justin Lin.
So it might have a different feel. I mean, if you remember, Leterrier did some Jason Statham films that we liked very much. So it'd be kind of interesting to see if, you know, we get Jason Statham back into the main theme, since, you know, Hobbs and Shaw had their own little world. It's always fun to see who all gets back together in this Fast and Furious. And since this is supposed to be the first half of the end,
right?
You know, we got to have it close out in a special way.
So this is like, what was the name of the film before Endgame?
Infinity War.
Yeah. So this is Fast and Furious is Infinity War. We'll get Endgame with Fast 11. So you know, hey, Jason Momoa is in, Charlize Theron is in. I'm assuming Helen Mirren is back, you know, so yes, this film will also make a whole lot of money. So do not discount that either. So, and plus these are the movies you heard me say at the beginning that they're hoping will bring people back to theaters. When you talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Fast 10, those are the sorts of films that are coming out. And this next movie, Charles, The Little Mermaid, Halle Berry, you know, is the lead of this. She's playing Ariel. Rob Marshall, of course, who has a background with Dreamgirls and Chicago and some of these other ones. So I trust Rob Marshall a lot. I think Disney does not miss. I think Halle Bailey is really, really good. You also add in Lin-Manuel Miranda, who has songs in this. You also have what is her name? Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
Javier Bardem. Again, Coming out 1 week after Fast 10. Charles, I believe this movie makes big money. Like, it's targeting the audience that, what's the movie that's out now that's killing it right now? Super Mario Brothers? That's the audience that this movie is targeting. What are you thinking about the Little Mermaid's chances?
Well, you also forgot to mention Daveed Diggs, Aquafina, Jacob Tremblay. Oh, yeah. I mean, they just throwing everybody in on this film. So I'm like, quite as it's kept, Little Mermaid has been one of my favorite animated Disney films of all time, right?
Right.
And I have been the live action ones I've been anathema to. I don't want to see them. I don't want to have anything to do with it. And so when they're doing this one, I've been very intrigued about. Actually, I might actually want to see this film in a non-professional way.
Well, I was going to say, you can see it anyway, man. Like, you are funny. I might see this movie.
So yeah, I'm kind of on the low key excited for The Little Mermaid.
All right, yeah, I think The Little Mermaid is going to do huge business. And, I'm if you were a DJ, I'm just sliding into the next record. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. The first one, really good. Game changer.
Magnificent.
This second one looks like they're up in the ante. You got Phil Lord and Chris Miller coming back to do this film. This film, I think, is going to be great. Now, the first one won an Oscar for Best Animated Feature.
As it should have.
Yeah, and the sequel, don't know a lot about the story, man. I just looked at the trailer and went, that's a hit. It reminds me of the first time, Shane, that I heard Still a DRE. I was at a radio station, and they played it, and I went, that's a hit. I don't hear it twice. That's gonna sell a lot. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, it's a hit. That movie will go. Charles, am I wrong? You more steeped in the superhero genre than I am. What are you thinking about this film's chances?
I think you're absolutely right. Again, this has hit written all over it. It's going to appeal to the geeks, the nerds who love the comic books, because we're looking at the realm of Spider-Men from all across all the universes, which is going to be exciting to see. You got Spider-Gwen again. And the animation, Disney usually has a lock on animation, but when Sony Pictures did the first one, it really broke a streak for Disney as far as winning the animation Oscar. And I agree, this one looks just as good as the first one, and I'm hoping we'll get a song out of it like Sunflower from the first one.
Oh my God, Charles Kirkman, man, you're such a geek, man. Such a geek, man. All right, so now we're going to throw our first curveball of our summer movie preview. And this is a movie that debuted in Toronto last year. I didn't get a chance to see it. It didn't hit Sundance, but I'm looking forward to The Blackening. So if you're at home and you're going, what the hell is The Blackening? The Blackening is described as the first great horror parody of the post-Get Out era. Get Out meaning the Jordan Peele film. Now, the scares may be underserved, but the laughs and blackness commentary make this a thrilling roller coaster of a film. And of course, Charles, is based on Three Pete's Comedies, 2018 Comedy Central digital short of the same name, which asks a simple question. If the black character is always the first to go in a horror movie, what happens when the whole cast is black? Think about that for a second. Now, in the original short, a serial killer forces the group to sacrifice whoever is blackest in order to save themselves. This story, of course, is directed by Tim Story, and it expands the concept to lampoon every other horror trope and cliche. We have our own personal reasons, which I won't go into in the air, on why I like this movie so much. Charles knows where I'm going with this. Charles, what are you thinking about The Blackening?
All I know is it's a bad thing in this movie to have a black card. That's all I'm gonna say.
Not good. It's not good.
But so, I'm excited to see it. It's, like you said, for personal reasons, but it's already been on my radar for a while.
Absolutely. All right. So I was going to talk about Asteroid City, but I'm just gonna keep it real with you. Wes Anderson is not one of my favorite filmmakers, man. Have I watched a bunch of his movies? I have. Do
Of
I
course.
find them to be pretentious and usually boring? Pretty much. Is the humor in a Wes Anderson film targeted at people that look like me? No, it is not. Charles, how do you feel about Wes Anderson?
I take him, I leave him most of the time. Most people say take it or leave it. I'm usually leaving it.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that he's not a.
The great thing about Wes Anderson is he has a wonderful cast. He has like almost every superstar you can think of in his films, but they just don't do it for me. Because
they're not films that speak to anything that's of color. They're very offbeat. They're very vanilla. I mean, and that's again. I'll just say this, that, I watched Moonrise Kingdom, the fabulous, what was it? The Magnificent Mr. Fox, Bottle Rocket. I mean, he's made a bunch of movies that those are Wes Anderson films, right? Because
yes, you're correct.
It's close. Because I don't want people, because, folks will watch this show and be like, that wasn't such and such. You are wrong, Tim. Okay, hey, off me. But this in this film, he's got Tom Hanks, Margot Robbie, Scarlett Johansson, Steve Carell, Bryan Cranston, Ed Norton, Hong Chow, Jeff Goldblum, Willem Dafoe, and Jason Schwartzman. Man, that dude he can assemble a cast. I give Wes Anderson that much.
This is not a BIPOC film. I will just go ahead and say
it's not. It is not a BIPOC film. But this next film. And Shane, you'll love this. Up next is The Flash. Why is The Flash a big deal? Because The Flash is played by none other than serial allegationist Ezra Miller. I mean, he is. I mean, am I making this up? You're a serial allegationist. I don't even know if that's a word or a phrase, but if you use it, you're welcome.
Oh man, that's a good one.
So this dude is the star of this film. The big thing that stands out here is that this is a multiversal film in DC. You've got multiple Batmans, and I swear Christian Bale's going to be in it too, but I guess they're going to surprise us with Bale. We know Affleck is back. We know Keaton is back. We've seen the motorcycle that Bale used in The Dark Knight in the trailer, so he's going to be in the movie, right? So don't be like, no, he's in the movie. Kiersey Clemons, Ron Livingston, Michael Shannon, who died in one of these films, is actually back. So yeah, is it going to be a hit? Sure. Ezra Miller will get to make more films. That's all I'll say, man. Jonathan Majors, career on the line. Ezra Miller, got a big film coming out this summer. Nobody's talking about, man, I don't know if we should pull this film, man. Ezra's starring in it, man. He's a serial allegationist. Wow.
Look, the problem is this film is the linchpin for James Gunn's relaunch of the DCU. So, I mean, unless they're going to go back and reshoot this whole thing, this is Flashpoint. So they got to go forward. We may not see Ezra Miller. I think it may be presumptuous to say that we'll see Ezra Miller after this film, but he will definitely be in this film. We may get a change of Flash somewhere in between here, but yeah. And the bad part is this movie comes out the same day as The Blackening, so a lot of people will not go see The Blackening because we'll all be piling in to see The Flash.
All right, up next, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Harrison Ford got to be 80. Am I wrong? Got to be 80. Plus.
He plays 80.
This movie is coming out 15 years after the last time Indy put on that hat and that whip on his hip when he was in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And that was not a good movie. James Mangold, who did Logan, is back to make everything right, and he is 80 years old. He passes the torch in this film to Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who plays his globe-hopping goddaughter at the center of a Cold War adventure involving the space race. I don't know if this is going to be a hit or not. This doesn't feel like still a DRE to me. This could be either Diet Coke from Pusha T or it could be something else. I don't know. I'm using all hip hop references for Shane because he's young, and it's the 50th anniversary of hip hop this year. All right.
You know, when we did the Crystal Skull, we were supposed to be passing the torch over to Shia LaBeouf's character in the film, and
he
so
dropped the torch. He dropped it.
Yeah,
so
he dropped it.
Somebody else.
he might have been. He might have been the first serial allegationist because he kind of dropped out. So I don't know. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I love Fleabag. She writes. I mean, she has written some things that are really good. So I'm interested to see where it's going. But you know, please don't hurt Harrison Ford anymore. He can't do these films. He can't do these things.
All right, let's skip to the next one. Now, even before I say this, say it with me. It's a hit. The latest episode, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, Part 1, July the 14th. Tom Cruise that gave you arguably one of the biggest movies of last year with Top Gun Maverick is back in a film that has been delayed as well because of the pandemic. This will feature Tom Cruise's usual death-defying stunt work, from motocross jumps to skydives. You got Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby, and all these guys, as well as Haley Atwell, Pom Klementieff, the young woman from Guardians of the Galaxy, Carrie Elwes, and Rob Delaney joining Tom Cruise. This is going to be a big hit. This song, this right here is sort of like, I don't know, man. This is like Cream from the Wu-Tang Clan. This is a huge hit. Tom Cruise, man.
Well, again, like you said, all the people are back. I mean, so this is our second Infinity Game movie of the year. So, because again, the next film is supposed to be Endgame for Mission Impossible as well. So, which I don't understand. As long as Tom Cruise is alive, he's going to be doing some crazy stunts. We look forward to him doing these crazy stunts. So to hear that this series is coming to an end is highly unsatisfactory. Unsatisfying? Yeah, that's the word. Unsatisfying. Because I've loved Mission Impossible when it was a television show. When Tom Cruise did the first one, I was all in. I've been all in. And the difference between Fast and Furious and Mission Impossible is Mission Impossible seems like it can kind of be credible. You know, you kind of get down with it. It hasn't jumped the shark like Fast and Furious has. So I'm looking for this is the blockbuster. This is the blockbuster of the summer, I think.
All right, we got 3 movies left, man, and we'll start off with Barbie. Greta Gerwig's Barbie. Margot Robbie plays Barbie. Ryan Gosling plays Ken. You got Simu Liu, Kate McKinnon, America Ferrera, Issa Rae, Michael Cera, Kingsley Ben-Adir. We're trying to create a Barbie movie in live action that is very BIPOC. This is a very multicultural cast. It feels like a movie that will either work big, or people might watch it and go, man, I'm not feeling that at all. Charles, I'll let you go ahead on and get in because I'm trying to get out of this segment, but go ahead, man.
It's Barbie, and we really don't know what to expect from this movie. It could be like the Lego movie, which was genius, but it's by Greta Gerwig, so we're not sure whether she can communicate the comedy that we would expect from a movie like this. So, I got a fingers crossed on this one. Some people are thinking it's going to be great, and some people are like, "There's no way it can be great." So we'll just see when we get there.
All right, in theaters on July the 21st, man. Christopher Nolan, who's a longtime fan favorite. I'm a longtime fan of his films. His last film was Tenet, which he thought would bring people back to theaters during the pandemic. It did not. So Warner Brothers and him parted ways. He came over to Universal, and he brings Oppenheimer, which is probably the most serious film of the summer, which is literally the story of them developing the Manhattan Project, a.k.a. dropping the atom bomb, which is in this movie. Cillian Murphy plays Mr. Oppenheimer. Charles, again, I don't know, man. It feels like this is a movie that should be playing in October, not in July. But hey, man, I just work here. I just make the donuts, man. I don't and sell them. I'm not behind the marketing of the donuts. What do you think about Oppenheimer?
You know, the thing about what you just said about it being a later in the year film, we've seen a couple films this year that already should be in, that we think should be in the Oscar race, and we'll be talking about that maybe a little later. But so I'm not surprised that because Christopher Nolan is a big name as well, for them to put this movie in the summer movie seasons, because this is one of those kind of films that can draw a lot of people and have a great story and be Oscar worthy at the same time. So it's a big thing for a director to switch studios, and for him to leave Warner Brothers and go to Universal again. How's that relationship going to work too? So I'm excited to see Oppenheimer. I think, I mean, it's going to be pretty good, I believe.
All right, and the last film in our summer movie preview is a film that initially was supposed to be, as Charles would describe it, on TV. It was on the streaming platform at HBO Max, but Blue Beetle is getting a theatrical release, and of course, it tells the story of a young man who developed a Mexican-American teenager who develops a high-tech exoskeleton after obtaining a mysterious robotic scarab. Yes. Charles, anything on this one?
Blue Beetle. This is going to be a hit. I mean, people now.
August 18th, this is going to be a hit.
August 18th, it's going to be a hit. Blue Beetle has been anticipated for a long time because they've been dropping him in every references to him in almost every DC TV show that there has been. Even the animated ones had references to Blue Beetle, and Blue Beetle's not one of the biggest characters in DCU, but it is one of the most interesting characters in the DCU, and a lot of people are big fans, and I'm expecting this movie to do quite well, and even though it's at the end of the movie season in August.
All right, so you've got our recommendations. Summer movie season starts officially the very first Friday of May, of course, with Guardians of the Galaxy. We will come back and update you and figure out, because we keep records of all these shows, who was right and who was wrong. So this whole Blue Beetle thing, I'm going to be like, I tried to tell y'all back in April that Charles was tripping.
And you will find out.
All right.
We'll find out.
All right. So now it's time for us to start looking at some movies reviews before we get up out of here. And before we begin the movies, I just want to say that last night was the final episode of 6 seasons of Snowfall. We find out last night the fate of star Franklin Saint, played by Damson Idris, who I think not only will be a Black Reel Television Award nominee in August, he's got to be an Emmy nominee for what I think might arguably be the greatest story arc in any show that's ever been done for one particular character. And I mean, if you want to challenge me on it, you just put it, you know how to get on and give us comments. Give us, who do you think did a better job in a story arc from episode 1 to like whatever the end episode of season 6, episode 10. It was heartbreaking, man. It almost made me cry watching that. And that last scene, those last minutes of last night's finale, man, my God, brother, you talking about some power? Whew. John Singleton, is so sad that he is not here to reap the love that he deserves for being the creator of this show. Singleton, of course, died in 2019 in the middle of them filming, I think, season 3. Yeah, man. I mean, this show is a business. Hats off to Damson Idris, Eamon Joseph, who's been on the show, Michael Hyatt. I mean, there's so many people who contributed arguably to the second greatest drug drama I've ever seen. The Wire, of course, is number 1. Snowfall. If you have not had an opportunity to watch this show, I would encourage you now to go to Hulu and start streaming this thing from episode 1. And then at some point, you'll be like, oh, that's what Tim was talking about. Exactly.
5 seasons worth, right?
Six seasons,
6.
man.
Okay.
So the story, of course, set in LA in 1983, revolves around the first crack epidemic and its impact on the city, and the story of several characters whose lives are fated to intersect. 20-year-old drug dealer Franklin Saint, Mexican wrestler Gustavo El Oso Zapata, CIA operative Teddy McDonald, and Mexican crime boss's niece Lucia Villanueva. And I just leave it there, man. So there you go, Charles. And I know you haven't watched this, man, so I'm going to leave it alone. At some point, we're going to make sure you get a chance to check it out. All right, Charles, did you get a chance to watch any of The Diplomat?
Nah. I mean, I really wanted to, but I had a event of my own last evening, which really took up all my time. And then I finished The Night Agent, which was very good, a very good series on Netflix. I
still need to watch this, man. And all I was going to say with The Diplomat is that I can't literally review it. I've only watched like maybe 2 episodes, and I think I'm like 8 episodes behind. So this is not like Beef a couple of weeks ago where I watched 8 of them and it was like, okay, I sort of have an idea. The Diplomat, though, created by Deborah Kahn, centers on Kate Weiler, played by Felicity. What is her name? The woman from Felicity. Oh, Carrie Russell. Centers on Kate Weiler, the new U.S. ambassador to the UK, and she has to diffuse international crisis, forge strategic alliances in London, and adjust to her new place in the spotlight, while also trying to survive her marriage to fellow career diplomat Hal Weiler, played by Rufus Sewell. So far from what I've watched, Charles, the first 2 episodes, I like what I see. I can't wait. Maybe we will circle back and touch bases on this, but The Diplomat is on Netflix right now, which leads us to the movie I really wanted to talk about. Charles, you didn't get a chance to see Guy Ritchie's The Covenant?
I did not.
Oh, my God, man. Woo, Charles Kirkland, man. You know.
Look, I don't know why you want to put me on blast like this.
I'm not putting you on blast. Last week you had to go out of town.
We talked all week long about the fact that I didn't get to see this movie, how much I wanted to.
My point to you is that we understand that you have extenuating circumstances. Didn't you miss Air as well?
Yes.
Okay. So my point is, and I'm getting ready to get to that, is that there's some movies you can miss. There's some movies you can afford to miss. This one, during the war in Afghanistan, U.S. Army Sergeant John Kinley recruits Ahmed to interpret with local Afghans during their mission in Afghanistan. Ahmed agrees in pursuit of revenge against the Taliban for the death of his son. Co-written, co-produced, and directed by Guy Ritchie. This film stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Dar Salem.
Why you want this job?
I need the money, sir.
And what was your profession before this?
Mechanic.
You good with cars?
Anything with an engine.
Oh yeah? What's this?
That's an engine, sir.
You patronizing me, Ahmed?
No. I would never patronize an officer, sir.
How long you been here?
5 years.
You like it?
It's a job, sir.
Well, Ahmed, this unit specializes in finding Taliban munitions and explosive sites. Basically, we get into trouble. Sadly, we lost our last interpreter.
Understood. And it's Ahmed, sir.
Oh. Yeah. Well, it's Sergeant, not sir.
Man, let me tell you something, Charles. Now, you and I talk about this stuff a lot. And, we've watched a lot of Guy Ritchie movies, man. Rock and Roller, Snatch, a lot of stuff that Guy Ritchie's done. So Guy Ritchie has a style, right? That you expect. He takes on and changes his style. And let me tell you something about this story, man. This story, which is based on a true story, finds Jake Gyllenhaal, an actor I really like a lot, playing a role where he's like Master Sergeant McKinley, and he's got his group of elite soldiers who travel around Afghanistan, and they look for caches of explosive and weapons to try to take them back from the Taliban. So that's essentially what him and his group does. But the important part here is that they usually have interpreters with them because they're going to talk to a lot of locals. So they have to embed one in their team. And we see at the very beginning that they lose an interpreter. So there's an open spot. And there's this wild card that, is kind of like if he was a horse, he would be like a buck that needed to be broken. And, McKinley takes a chance on him and puts him in the unit. And of course, early on, man, they're growing pains. They butt heads. He's very opinionated. And he has a way that he goes about the job, which kind of rubs McKinley the wrong way. But then there's an incident that happens that he has to rely on this interpreter. And this interpreter, for lack of a better phrase, saves his life, man. And but it puts a target on his back. This movie, man, I will just say this, man, as a former Marine, it affected me because I think the part that Guy Ritchie got so right about this is that when you're fighting, in a conflict, right, and there's any second something bad could happen. Somebody could shoot you. You could step on a mine. There's just danger lurking at every turn. And Guy Ritchie really gets that aspect of the film right? So that's number one. Right. The second part is the loyalty aspect and the storytelling. Right. So you got these two main characters that have to trust one another and build a bond. And it's a bond that supersedes what you would generally see in a film like this. Like you're a band of brothers. You've seen that film. But I think the storytelling and the story that Ritchie has, he's able to pull this off in a way that I think really, really works well. The cinematography of how it's shot. There are 3 key battles in this movie, man, and every one of them will have you on the edge of your seat. I thought Gyllenhaal was great. Dar Salim, they were great as well. He was great as well as Ahmad. But the guy who gets the credit for this is Guy Ritchie, man. I mean, if you'd have told me that Guy Ritchie would make a film like this and be able to tell a story just as effectively as he does these kind of stories about these lovable blokes in London, that he's made so many of these movies. The Gentleman comes to mind as another Guy Ritchie movie. So Guy Ritchie has a style, and he steps out of his style. Charles, and he just doesn't hit a home run. He hit a grand slam with The Covenant. Wow. The Covenant, man, like I went to the screening the other night. Jake Tapper from CNN introduced the film, right?
Yeah.
Sitting in the audience was Senator Mitt Romney. There were other senators. I mean, this is a high-profile film, and like everybody in the room was like, oh yeah, man, Guy Ritchie did his thing with this, man. So The Covenant opens in theaters this weekend, man. Wait for it, Charles. It's an A. It's an A. This is one of the best movies I've seen of the year, along with Air, which I bring that back up. If Charles Kirkland misses your screening, your movie's probably going to be good. Your movie
I hate you sometimes.
Man, Charles Kirkland is like the reverse Gatorade. Like, back in the day, when a team would win a game, they throw Gatorade on the guy's head. Charles Kirkland standing outside and missing your movie's golden.
Wow.
So
Thank you very much.
So Charles, man, so any final words? We got about a minute to go, man. You got anything else?
Nah, I don't want to curse anybody by talking about their show, man. Gee,
you stupid, man. So coming up next week, if you're here in the local DC area, both myself and Travis Hobson will be hosting Coming Attractions during Film Fest DC. I think it starts 1:45 to 3:30. We're going to be showing all of the hottest movie trailers and giving out gear and all that stuff. Charles Kirkland will be in attendance. So you don't want to miss that. We'll talk a little bit more about that next week. And next week, we got Citadel. It's going to be time to listen to what Charles went through. We'll have all that and more, but on behalf of the greatest co-host on the planet, Charles Kirkland Jr., I am Tim Gordon, and as we tell you every week on this show, please see something good at the movies. You already know what I want you to see. And check out Snowfall if you haven't had an opportunity, as well as The Night Agent and The Diplomat. Until next time, Charles, peace in the Middle East, which is kind of funny, but it's actually applicable because of what we just talked about with the covenant. And we will see you guys on the other side, man. Enjoy your weekend. You take care. Peace.